Post The Graduate, a slew of raunchy comedies were unleashed from Hollywood. Nichols himself contributed with carnal knowledge, and B.S. I Love You is a fascinating window into where new Hollywood New Wave photovisual philosophies coincided with this notion of highly obnoxiously male crass comedy, and these two worlds were not mutually exclusive at one time. Underground Comics, Robert Crumb and the like, National Lampoon and or Mad Magazine, what is known as boomer humor, reflects rather poorly today as offensive, gregarious and crass, although at that time, post-sexual revolution, freedom of speech epoch, it was considered very empowering against a socially conservative status quo. Arguably, second wave feminism was a response to this mainstream trend within the primarily male dominated counterculture, particularly in its more sex negative wing. There is little need to recommend B.S. I Love You beyond fulfilling the desire for a 1971 snow globe, an odorous one albeit, although I find it fascinating to observe how Stephen Hilliard Stern, someone who I'm so vaguely yet willingly captivated by, how his career began. I came across a few of his films by chance and decided to then talk about them on FOTD at random. This is his debut feature. It was followed by the previously discussed Harad Summer, and then in 1975, I Wonder Who's Killing Her Now. Yikes, we'll get to that. Oh, I neglected to mention Neither by Day Nor by Night, a co-production with Israel, which might have been as critically praised as any of Stern's films, although might be actually a lost film, to my own understanding anyway. B.S. I Love You. The 70s has a residue of permanent weird to it, almost as though more than any other decade, every object of media from it is inherently fascinating, and so with this feature, that idea is tested, and still holds rather true, I feel. The idea of living through that decade, especially from those of us who didn't, is to imagine a time wherein everything has some substance to it, some fascinating component of a trippy zeitgeist. The 70s feels like a permanent party to those of us born afterward. Everyone was shamelessly dressed, on drugs, obsessed with slick interior design. It seems like fun. If you survived it, at least. The 70s Arcadia, I think, is fascinating because in spite of all of the objective turmoil and violence and tragedies in the world at that time, people seem to have a zen, calm, cool and funky response to it, which is appealing to some sectors of the now. The tension between relaxing and letting life just play out versus actively seeking and engineering change in one's macro world or just in their personal life is a ruthlessly eternal consideration. Though the former might just be a post-war developed toward privilege, one which recedes each passing year as we revert to the struggling conditions, non-relaxed, permanently working conditions of the earlier 20th century, or God forbid, the 19th century. But these intensive discussions are more than what an upload for BS I Love You is worth.